in nominating 3 officers of the same gender for appointment, His Excellency the President and the Right Honorable Prime Minister violated the mandatory provisions of Section 14 of the National Police Service Act, which provides as follows. In the entire recruitment and appointment process of the Inspector General or Deputy Inspectors General, the Commission, that is the National Police Service Commission, Parliament and the President, as the case may be, shall A, comply with the values and principles set out under the Constitution, and in particular Articles 10, 27 and 232 of the Constitution, and B, ensure that at all times one of the 3 positions of the Inspector General and the 2 Deputy Inspectors General is of opposite gender. That section was enacted in furtherance of the requirements of Article 27 of the Constitution that requires that, and I quote, the state shall take legislative and other measures to implement the principle that not more than 2/3 of members of elective or appointive bodies shall be of the same gender. The recent ruling by the Supreme Court of Kenya on the gender issue emphasized that where legislative measures have been adopted that enable the application of the gender principle, that principle must be applied immediately. Indeed, in compliance with this legislative measure, the National Police Service Commission, that is mandated to recruit members of the National Police Service, did interview, select, and shortlist qualified candidates for each of the 3 positions, which candidates included qualified women to fill the positions. I want to reiterate that there was no absence of qualified women candidates to fill the position of Inspector General and Deputy Inspectors General. We are aware that there is an attempt to amend the National Police Service Act by deleting the said Section 14 through the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendments Bill, which we believe is currently before the National Assembly. Neither CIC, nor as far as we know, the other stakeholders were involved in the proposed amendment. This in itself is both a violation of the constitutional process and principles, as well as an exhibition of bad faith. Such an amendment would in any event go against the spirit of the Constitution and would not cure the violation that has already occurred. Those who have initiated the proposed amendments must be exposed and held accountable for their anti-reform attempts to thwart the gains women and all Kenyans achieved through the promulgation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. On its part, Parliament must act on the basis of the status of the law at the point the name of the nominee for Inspector General was given to the Speaker. I want to reiterate that at that point, and indeed as at this moment, the nominations are in clear violation of the Constitution. We have written to His Excellency the President and the Right Honorable the Prime Minister, to the National Police Service Commission and to the Speaker of the National Assembly, pointing out the fundamental constitutional issues and requesting that the appointments of the 3 officers be halted until the threatened violation can be corrected. The failure to observe this mandatory provision not only breaches the law and the spirit of the Constitution, but is a further assault on the gender gains which have been consolidated in the Constitution of Kenya 2010. This is a state of affairs Kenyans must not tolerate. In calling for the halting of the proposed appointments, CIC nonetheless expresses the hope that the mandated offices and organs will complete the long-delayed process forthwith and in full respect for the letter and spirit of the Constitution. The President, the Prime Minister, and the National Assembly have thus far played an important and effective role in the implementation of the Constitution, pursuant to their respective constitutional mandates and oaths of office. We urge that fidelity to the Constitution and the law remains intact, even as the life of the 10th Parliament, as well as the tenure of the coalition government, draws to a close.